For millions of years, there was a predator so large that even whales were food. It wasn't the first shark. It wasn't the fastest. Yet nothing about it was normal. And millions of years later, its disappearance may be just as mysterious as its existence. Because almost everything that scientists have discovered breaks the rules of modern predators, and the deeper we study it, the stranger it becomes. The ocean has always harbored legends of terrors hiding in the dark. But one nightmare stands apart: a massive serrated fossil tooth, sharp edges that fit within a human hand. This stone fragment sparked a modern obsession. It gave rise to a name that commands fear and fueled phantom images of a leviathan shattering whales in half. Popular culture took this terror and ran with it, claiming the giant still hunts in the black abyss. Sensationalized broadcasts, like the infamous mockumentary The Monster Shark Lives, staged encounters and presented fabricated sightings as reality. But these claims belong to entertainment, not science. There are no living monsters, only empty water. Yet, the absolute certainty of its extinction does not diminish the animal. It reframes the mystery. How does a creature reconstructed entirely from shattered remains become the most feared predator in human history? The real monster is gone. In its place lies a massive silent gap in the fossil record. In 1835, naturalist Louis Agassiz examined a massive triangular fossil and gave this mystery its first scientific name. He called it Carcharodon megalodon. For over a century, researchers believed this predator was a direct ancestor of the modern great white. But classification is a shifting science. Over decades, the shark was reassigned to the genus Carcharodon and eventually to Otodus. It was not a great white. They belong to completely separate families, having diverged 50 million years ago. Instead, Otodus megalodon was the ultimate member of the Otodontids, an extinct line of giant mackerel sharks. This lineage began its rise in the early Miocene, roughly 23 million years ago. The fossil record of this lineage reveals a clear evolutionary progression. Over millions of years, their teeth transformed, growing massive crowns, acquiring razor-sharp serrated edges, and slowly shedding their small side cusps. Reconstructing this titan requires strict rules of evidence. Shark skeletons are made of cartilage, which rarely fossilizes. This preservation bias leaves researchers with a massive silent gap. Because of this, science must separate fact from speculation. Isolated teeth and rare vertebrae represent established fossil evidence. Biomechanical modeling and comparisons with living sharks provide scientific estimates of the animal's physical shape. Meanwhile, fossilized bite marks on prehistoric whale bones offer hypotheses regarding how it hunted. Every theory rests on these fragments. The actual animal remains hidden. With no complete skeleton ever discovered, science must rebuild this ancient predator from the jaws backward, starting with nothing but dust and stone. The scale of this reconstruction begins with a single, massive metric. Based on tooth crown height, rare vertebral centra, and complete tooth sets, researchers estimate the average adult length of this predator at 15 to 20 meters. That is 50 to 65 feet of sheer oceanic mass, an animal weighing roughly 50 to 70 metric tons. Some isolated remains suggest exceptional individuals might have approached 24 meters. But paleontologists like Kenshu Shimada treat this extreme size as a highly debated upper limit, not a normal adult size. Without a complete fossilized skeleton, every dimension remains a model-derived estimate, a hypothesis built from stone. A body of this scale requires an equally massive power source. To understand the physics of its bite, scientists constructed biomechanical models, entering jaw geometry, tooth placement, and estimated muscle area. The resulting calculation is staggering: 108,000 to 182,000 newtons. In plain terms, a newton is a unit of force, the measurement of raw physical impact. This model suggests a jaw pressure 3 times stronger than that of a Tyrannosaurus rex. It represents the most powerful bite force ever calculated for any predatory animal. But these calculations are only meaningful when tested against real fossil evidence, like the resistant bones of prehistoric marine prey. The physical tools of this force are real, and they are abundant. The largest teeth ever discovered reach 18 centimeters, or 7 inches in diagonal length. Broad, thick triangles with heavily serrated edges. Tens of thousands of these fossilized weapons have been recovered from ancient seabeds worldwide. They provide direct, undeniable evidence of a massive predator. Yet, they are still just teeth. They are direct evidence of a hard tissue tool, but not a complete soft tissue body. They tell us what was cut. They do not show us the animal that did the cutting. To find the actual animal, we must look at what those teeth left behind. Fossilized whale ribs and skulls bear heavy, parallel gouges, punctures that match the exact spacing of giant serrated crowns. These wounds provide undeniable proof of contact between the giant shark and marine mammals. Baleen whales likely formed the core of its diet, but fossils show it also targeted early dolphins, seals, sirenians, and sea turtles. Yet, a mark on a bone is not a complete record of a hunt. Some of these scored bones show signs of healing, proving the prey survived. Others may simply represent scavenging on carcasses. We cannot assume every scratch represents a successful, lethal strike. But the energy required to fuel this lifestyle is recorded elsewhere. When researchers slice through rare fossilized vertebrae, they find concentric rings. Much like the rings of a tree, these bands record the passage of time. They reveal a growth rate that defies typical marine limits. These predators may have grown several meters in their first few years of life. This rapid development likely started before birth. Because cartilage degrades, no fossilized embryo has ever been found. But by studying modern mackerel sharks, scientists infer that this giant gave live birth to astonishingly large young. Newborns are estimated to have spanned 2 to 4 meters in length, larger than an adult human. Sustaining a pup of this size in the womb is an immense maternal investment. To survive, the unborn young may have turned on each other. Scientists hypothesize that the largest embryos practiced intrauterine cannibalism, devouring their unhatched siblings inside the mother. It was a brutal start to life. A desperate race for size that demanded protected waters. To survive the open ocean, the young needed a head start, and the fossil record points to specific ancient sanctuaries. In the shallow, late Miocene sediments of Panama's Gatun and Chuquinacue formations, researchers uncovered hundreds of remarkably small teeth, far more than would occur by chance. Similar patterns of juvenile biased remains exist along Maryland's Calvert Cliffs, the Bone Valley of Florida, and coastal quarries in Spain. These sites share 3 distinct geological traits: low energy, protected coastal waters, calm, shallow bays, and an abundance of small, accessible prey. Because we cannot watch these ancient waters, scientists must rely on inference. They interpret these locations as nurseries, safe harbors where vulnerable young could feed and grow, shielded from the larger predators of the deep. But this dependency on fragile coastlines presents a striking evolutionary puzzle. This was not a localized species. Its fossilized teeth have been recovered from Neogene deposits on every single continent. with the sole exception of ice-bound Antarctica. From subtropical coastlines to high-latitude temperate waters, its footprint was nearly universal. This vast map is heavily biased. It relies almost entirely on teeth that survived the elements, concentrated in areas where active fossil hunting takes place. Yet, the overall picture reveals an extraordinary contradiction. A giant predator, highly dependent on specific, shallow coastal nurseries for its survival, yet successful enough to occupy almost every sea on Earth. How does a highly specialized giant maintain such a global reach? And what happens to a species when its coastlines begin to slip away? Fossilized whale bones carry the cold record of ancient violence. Stephen J. Godfrey analyzes these damaged cetacean remains, decoding bite marks like a forensic investigator. The bones themselves are the ultimate authority. The location of the trauma tells a specific story. Cranial injuries suggest active, lethal predation. Post-cranial damage often points to feeding or scavenging. Some of these bones show clear signs of healing. The prey survived the strike, carrying the scars of a near-fatal encounter. Repeated arching gouges, matching the exact spacing of giant serrated teeth, scar the fossilized ribs. Microscopic wear and deep raking patterns link the trauma directly to the megatooth shark. Occasionally, a fossilized tooth remains embedded deep inside a whale vertebra. This is physical proof of contact, though it falls short of a complete hunting record. From these scars, paleontologists build behavioral reconstructions. They hypothesize an ambush near the surface, along a whale's path. The predator may have targeted a flipper, rib, or tail to impair movement. A disabling strike, followed by a quiet retreat, before returning to the disabled prey. This is an elegant model, but it remains a behavioral hypothesis. Other massive marine predators roamed these same seas. Rather than constant warfare, the fossil record suggests a system of coexistence. These giant hunters divided the ocean, separated by habitat, timing, prey size, and hunting strategy. But this delicate ecological balance was vulnerable to a changing world. This extreme power belonged to more than a single animal. It operated on the scale of an entire ecosystem. To find this predator's true place in the ancient oceans, scientists look inside the chemical structure of the fossilized teeth themselves. Locked within the enamel are zinc and stable isotope signatures. Think of these as distinct chemical fingerprints. They preserve a permanent record of what an animal consumed throughout its life, revealing its exact position on the prehistoric food chain. These isotopic markers place the shark at the absolute summit of the food web. It occupied a trophic level higher than almost any other marine predator in Earth's history. But this apex status was not a guarantee of invulnerability. It was a state of conditional access. The ancient seas of the Miocene were extraordinarily productive, warm, and thick with life, allowing multiple giant predators to thrive without destroying their own prey bases. In this rich, interconnected network, the shark acted as a supreme selective force, silently driving the evolution and behaviors of early marine mammals. Yet this dominance was entirely fragile. It depended on a constant, immense flow of vertebrate food. The giant was bound to the stability of a functioning marine network. For millions of years, that network remained stable. But specializing to process only the largest prey is a high-risk evolutionary gamble. When the ocean begins to change, being the ultimate predator becomes a fatal trap. Around 3.6 million years ago, the global ocean began to withdraw. Oxygen isotopes locked in fossil shells and ancient sedimentary layers reveal a sudden, late Neogene cooling. As polar ice sheets expanded, global sea levels plunged, exposing and dry docking the shallow coastal platforms. This physical shift did not need to destroy the vast adult habitats in the deep. Instead, it attacked the species at its most vulnerable stage. The warm, protected bays that sheltered juvenile sharks began to vanish. This triggered a quiet crisis of recruitment, the measure of young sharks surviving into adulthood. Without these sanctuaries, newborns were forced into deep, hostile waters. Fossil databases and extinction researchers do not offer a final verdict. They treat this habitat loss as a highly plausible pressure, but not a complete explanation. The physical world was shrinking, but a predator of this scale required more than just space. 5 million years ago, the ocean's biological foundations began to rewrite themselves. The diversity of baleen whales, the giant's primary fuel source, declined sharply. The surviving whale species grew larger, migrating toward the freezing, nutrient-rich polar regions. For a massive, warm-water predator, its food supply was shrinking, and worse, it was moving out of reach. Then, a new shadow appeared in the fossil record: the early great white shark. Fossils from this era reveal these smaller, more agile hunters spreading rapidly across the globe. Zinc isotope studies suggest a possible niche overlap, raising the possibility of direct competition for the same marine mammals. But this remains a low to medium confidence hypothesis, not a proven cause of extinction. The great white was a distinct predator, adapted to a different world, rather than a direct replacement. Instead, the true crisis was likely a broader, systemic ecological collapse. Widespread changes in global upwelling patterns and primary productivity began to scramble the food web from the bottom up. Prey depletion, competitor pressure, and oceanographic changes collided. Because the fossil record consists of isolated teeth, we cannot measure the exact impact of each pressure. We only know they interacted. A giant predator, built for a stable world, was trapped in a changing ocean. The modern world has no record of Odidus Megalodon crossing the 3.6 million year boundary. The extinction is certain, yet the fossil record refuses to rank the causes. We possess thousands of teeth, but they cannot tell us if the freezing water struck the first blow or if the vanishing nurseries broke the species first. No single culprit exists. Instead, science finds a web of colliding pressures, where climate, prey migration, and new competitors worked in silence. This titan remains the largest predatory shark ever known. Its legacy endures as one of Earth's most iconic marine animals. The oceans changed, and even this giant could not survive the transition. The mystery remains open, locked in the cold stone of an ancient seabed. Today, we sail oceans that are quieter, haunted by the ghost of a predator that pushed biology to its absolute limit. Its disappearance proves that even the ultimate adaptation cannot withstand a shifting planet. As our modern seas face their own rapid transitions, the lesson of the megatooth remains clear. No empire is too grand for the tide of change.